Welcome to Top Tier Wrestling, your ultimate destination for all things going on in the world of professional wrestling. Whether you're a hardcore wrestling fanatic or just a casual viewer, we've got you covered with the latest news, in depth show reviews, and our unfiltered opinions. Get ready to step into the ring with us and stay on top of the wrestling world. This is Top Tier Wrestling. Welcome, one and all, to the Top Tier Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host, Don Moxley, joined as always by my co host in crime, Joshua Castagnoli. We're here to cover AEW's Dynamite for February the 25th. Let's get into it.
I'm Claudio Castagnoli, huh?
Yeah, no,
I don't know.
Joshua
Somehow,
Castagnoli. Did I say
oh,
Joshua? I said Joshua, right?
I think so. I think so.
Okay.
But I feel like I should be like throwing a European uppercut and then, doing the big spin,
Yes.
the giant swing.
All of those, as long as it is not to me.
Fair
Somebody
enough.
else
Fair
to
enough.
take that.
Somebody else. All right, and this episode of AEW Dynamite is brought to us from Denver, Colorado. I'm not sure I've got the arena name on the tip of my tongue. Let's see. But it's neither here nor there. We start out taking a look at the card for the night as XCal kind of reviews it. And it looks like there's a championship match between the Babes of Wrath again versus Mega Bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
I will never get on board for that team name Mega Bad. That just that sounds so stupid to me.
No.
But it ain't my tag team, so and to get the show started, we have John Moxley defending the Continental Championship versus El
Is it?
Clone of the Don
Wait,
Callis family.
is that what
No,
that?
let's see. Isn't it a championship match or is it an eliminator?
No, I think it's an eliminator.
My bad. I was hoping that he was defending the title. He was not.
No, he's making sure that he didn't have to defend defend the
Yeah.
title.
And for some reason, Rennie Packett was down there at ringside giving kind of a play-by-play and decides to ask, like,
I love
Marina
it.
Shafir, like, what's the origin of the pre-match slap? And Marina was like, there's no pain in that slap, only joy. And I don't know, I felt awkward. I'm like, ooh, the wife is talking to the other woman. Eek.
Oh God, dramas.
But yeah, and Roderick's nowhere to be seen.
We'll get to that
So
later.
what what were your thoughts on this match between Mox and El Clone of the Don Callis family?
I thought it was a great match, and I thought it was a great opener. But I thought it was great because El Clone met Moxley where he lives, and that ended up making this match one like of skill and a little bit of bravado. Like it. First of all, like El Clone is nothing but bravado. You know what I mean? He and I think it was X-Cal who said something about him. Like you can't see his face, but you can still get the vibe that my man is like just as arrogant and like full of like look what I can do, and I agree with him. Um, yeah, I thought this was a great opener. El Clone looked great. I'm gonna keep seeing that dude's praises because every time I see him, he didn't fuck up. He's just good, and I thought seeing him and Moxley together would be weird. Like I thought, I didn't think Moxley could go where El Clone goes, but
Yep.
he didn't have to. El Clone, like I said, met Moxley where Moxley is, and it just became a powerhouse, like, match. If this were WWE, they would have said the word strong style 20 times. Um, like it was just a really great opener.
Yeah, I felt the same way, and I absolutely echo your sentiments. It was a great match, and it was better than I thought because I wasn't sure how Mox and Clone styles might work together or clash.
Right. Right.
And the answer turns out to be better than I thought. And I felt like they kind of met each other where they lived. El
Mm,
Clone went more smash mouth, whereas Mox did more like through the ropes jumpies than I've seen him do in a minute.
mm,
And it's not unusual.
that's true.
Mox has always been able to do a suicide dive, but he did them extra because he's in there with I think a luchador.
Yeah.
But yeah, I felt like we ended up with a high octane match between these two, kind of showing off their stuff, and it. I was particularly pleased with the way the match concluded. Um, First, I was pleased with the fact that Mox was just outright getting cheered at this point. Like, it wasn't all that
Hmm.
long ago that the Death Riders were like the worst part of AEW programming, and now that's not the case, and they've made a remarkable turnaround on them. And Mox in particular is just getting straight cheered by the crowd,
Yeah.
and I think that helps because he's currently in a feud with Don Callis' stuff, and nobody likes chanting "fuck Don Callis" more than every AEW arena on the planet. And they will chant it whether he's out there or not, just
Or
because
not,
a
it doesn't
member of the
matter.
family is out there.
Yep.
And so pitting Moxley against them makes Mox kind of the de facto face, even though it isn't quite that cut and dry with these sort of anti-hero types.
Yeah.
Um, so I was pleased to see that because I never thought we would again. I thought Mox had tanked himself with his Death Rider shit. And second, I was really pleased that he concluded this match with a combination of the paradigm shift into the Death Rider instead of, and this is just entirely personal taste, a boring submission because I think submissions are kind of boring.
Yeah.
Um, Not
Well, I mean,
always, but most of the time. And so I much prefer it when somebody finishes a match with like a big grapple or throw, and the Death Rider like double underhook elevated brainbuster is sick as shit looking. Like it looked like he
yeah.
brought El Clone down right on the crown of his head. And this wasn't one that El Clone just kipped up out of either. He was done.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
very solid opener here. Well, following that match, and as is gotten to be custom with these matches with John Moxley, is that he doesn't have the Death Riders coming like, you know, ruffle stomp whoever his opponent was.
Yeah.
Like this was just a clean ending. We get Swerve Strickland um, interrupting. Actually, it was Prince Nana, I believe, who interrupted as the announcers were trying to talk, um, having something to say to them about their negative comments about, the $100,000 fine and, how it was so unnecessary and all that stuff. And Prince Nana shuts them down and says, "You think 100,000 is anything to Swerve?" And I'm sitting there thinking, I don't care how rich you are, 100,000 is gonna hurt, but
Yeah.
it's
It's
kayfabe
gonna
money.
hurt. Yeah. I mean, yeah, kayfabe, sure, but even still, if I were a wrestler and they were like, "We're gonna kayfabe fine you 100,000," I would kayfabe hurt. I'd be like, how? That
Yeah,
would bother me.
seriously. But ultimately that got Strickland out. Prince Nana introduced him, and Strickland comes out and stands on top of the announce table, and the crowd is like, all over the place. They're like, "Whose house?" Followed by like, when he's talking about like Kenny Omega, they're like, you know, cheering for Kenny Omega. And I believe at one point he asks, "Did you miss me, sickos?" And the crowd just loses their shit.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's going to be difficult for Swerve to fall into a natural heel role because the crowd's just too over on him and his Who's house. So hopefully he can just be like happy being a cheered heel.
You know, I think that's what he's going for. Actually, I think and this is just my opinion, but I feel like he's going for the cheered heel vibe. I think that's why he came out and was like, "Did you miss me, you sicko?" Like, I think that's why he did that because he's trying to go for that. and I think it works for him. I think it's going to continue to work for him. I think people like that about him.
Yeah. And then I think he went on to try and explain why he needed it, and it was because he felt disrespected by Kenny Omega, and worst of all, because Kenny dared to call someone else in AEW the most dangerous man when he made that reference to Brody King. And he just continues to cut the promo and eventually says, you know, the most dangerous man in AEW still is Swerve. And this ultimately led to a reply after that segment from Brody King backstage, who's getting like a back massage from Bandito or something. Bandito is just all over him. And
Oh man.
King addresses that Swerve apparently took exception to Omega calling him the most dangerous man in AEW, but he went on to say, like, you know, he's the number one in violence, and he also has an issue with Swerve thinking he should be the next in line for the AEW World Championship. And I believe he said that tonight, after he beats Mark Davis, you know, he'll prove why he should be the one that has the next AEW World title shot. So, still a lot of people swimming around that title scene. That's good. It keeps it interesting. But I also think we're going to have Brody King and Swerve Strickland very soon.
Yeah. And I'm here for it. I remember when I was watching Swerve talking, and he came up with that, like he made that statement about him being the most dangerous man, and you know, Kenny Omega calling someone else the most dangerous man in AEW pissed him off. And I remember thinking, well, Brody's gonna have to respond to that. Like, this is eventually gonna lead us to a match between the two, and Swerve's gonna have to win it, I think. But I can't wait for that day.
Yeah, I'm here for it. I think it'll be a great match because both Brody King, like before anyone was arguing about who's the most dangerous, one of the things Brody King was well known for, especially when he was in multi-man matches, is that for a guy his size, he does some crazy shit like flying out of the ring head first into a ladder, you know.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
both him and Swerve are absolutely like the guys for the sickos crowd, like that extreme level of wrestling that some people, you know, it's like, it's too much for me. Well, then you're watching the wrong show. Um, but yeah, I'm absolutely here for it because King and Swerve will like end up tearing the roof off the show with the crazy shit that they could get down to if they go that route. It would be really
yeah,
good.
yeah. I'm here for it. I would love to see it.
Yep. And then we come to what I unfortunately think is kind of a low point in this episode, unfortunately. We have Gabe Kidd, who is trying to squeeze the juice out of Orange Cassidy. I don't want to analyze that analogy too much further. Um, and before I kind of give my thoughts, what were your thoughts on this match?
um, Back chop battle 2026. I mean, I felt like Cassidy gave Kid the floor to show the world why they should take him serious. And in my opinion, I think he failed here. I think he looks
Yeah.
goofier
Yep.
now than ever. And this match was nothing but chops and corner tosses. Like, honestly, like that's literally all my man did. And then you know, make threatening gestures to the crowd. And at one point, I even said, no joke, I even said, guys, this isn't complete until he spit on Orange, because he was everything he did was cliche. And to be a real badass, according to him, and whomever else you know, follows this rule of thumb, to be a badass you gotta spit on the other person. And uh, Of course he did it, and then
Yeah.
went back. Yeah, I mean, honestly, this was it was a pretty boring match, and I think he failed. I don't know what happened. I don't know if he choked. I don't know what it was, but he just got stuck in this perpetual loop of doing the same two or three moves. Um,
Yeah.
and that was it. And I mean, you had a clean slate here. Basically, Orange Cassidy gave him a canvas, and that's what he came up with. The kid in his name really stood out in this match. Just it was my least favorite. Wasn't feeling it. What did you think?
I'm absolutely on the same page, unfortunately, and I think you nailed it when you said it feels like Cassidy gave the floor to Gabe Kidd to kind of show his stuff,
Yeah,
and all Gabe did with it was back chops, hell stabs, and Irish whips out of the ring. Like so much throwing people in and out of the ring for no other reason than to just throw them in and out of the ring. Like it was so boring. Like it was super boring. And it wasn't until like I think we made this comment when we were looking at it, but it was like watching an old Claudio Castagnoli match from WWE where it was just
yes,
nothing but European uppercuts and that's it.
yeah,
Now, near the end, Gabe did actually do a throw or a grapple. I think he did like two or maybe two, maybe three suplexes and like finished Cassidy off with a pile driver. But that was like the last three moves of the fucking match that went on for way too long. Um, this one was like tiresome. It was so fucking dull, and that takes some doing because you're in there with fucking Orange Cassidy for fuck's sake.
yeah,
Um, Yeah, by the time it did come to the end, I was more or less checked out and just wanted this one to be over. It was a boring match. The post match stuff was more interesting than the entirety of the whole match that preceded it when Gabe called out Connors to come beat down Cassidy, which led to Darby Allin come out to make the rescue, and Darby Allin cleaned house. You know, that was the most exciting thing that had happened that entire match.
yeah,
So yeah, weak match unfortunately. Kidd and Connors hopefully will eventually do something to get me on board, but right now they're on probation with me. Especially Gabe Kidd because he already had that like over the top try hard, you know, like it's cartoonish and ridiculous and weak looking kind of a heel attitude going. Like he's the try hard version of wannabe Tekla at this point.
yeah,
And um so the only thing that he had kind of going for him would be what he could do in the ring, and then here he showed us that he didn't opt to do fuck all anything with the floor being given to him. I really think he dropped the ball, or the producers of this match dropped the ball by not having them do more. Because
yeah,
I agree with you. It very much looked like Orange Cassidy was like, show your stuff. And this is what Gabe gave us. So now he's got shitty in ring work to go along with a fucking stupid character. It's not a good look. It's not starting off well for Gabe Kidd here.
yeah. I agree, man. Not it's just somewhat of a letdown.
Yeah. I might have some trouble picking my match of the night, or at least there's some contenders for it, but worst match of the night, this one easily. Um Following that unfortunate event, we hear from Thunder Rosa, who is going against Tekla for the AEW Women's World Title next week, and we have Rennie Paquette in the back, kind of interviewing Thunder Rosa, who is now perpetually, seemingly, in the company of Chris Statlander, and Chris exists solely to continuously tell her to be careful when dealing with Tekla, and it's like to the point that it's almost weird, like
Yeah.
are you warning her or threatening her because you lost the
What?
title to Tekla? Are you going to interfere with Thunder Rosa trying to get it off of her?
Oh, maybe, maybe. I was taking it as she has some concern about like she didn't expect Tekla to be as crazy as she is or whatever. So I just figured she was trying to um get Tekla over. You know what I mean? Like let her know that like she's had a match with her and now she's a little bit scared of her because she's crazy, or she went
Yeah.
above and beyond, or something like that.
I could dig that when they cut that one promo the last time, but like it's been so heavily reinforced as to almost be awkward, and we end up with Thunder going, "Do you question my ability to handle Tekla?" And so it's like she's pushing it so hard that it makes me think like, "What's up? Like, are you going to like sabotage Thunder here?" Like,
Yeah, no, that's a great point, and I hadn't even thought about that, but yeah, that could be it. What if that's it? But I mean, is she going heel right now because they just got stat on
like
face,
back
like
from
solid
that,
face
yeah,
terms, right?
yeah, with the
And
cosmic babes of wrath and all that.
right. So like, yeah, it would be kind of weird for them to go that route. Um,
Yeah, I'm not sure, but ultimately they end up with Thunder saying that it's her and Statlander versus the Sisters of Sin, which I think is kind of smart, right? Like, assuming that Statlander's on the up and up and that this is just awkward because awkward, what would be smart in dealing with Tekla and a big part of what makes her dangerous is the Sisters of Sin. So if Thunder and Statlander can kind of take them out of the picture, it increases the odds that Thunder is only dealing with Tekla, which is no small thing in and of itself. But you add in the Sisters of Sin, and I could totally understand why Thunder might be being told to be careful. Um,
yeah,
so
but
that's
I
going to
mean,
be an
say
upcoming
that
match on Collision. Yeah, seriously, like
instead of
because
instead of
I
be
feel like
careful.
Thunder asked her even a couple of times, like, you keep saying that, like, what do you what
Yeah. And then even Rennie Pickett was like, why do you keep telling her to be careful? Like, what's going on? And all Statlander did was look at her and then walk away dramatically. So
Yeah. So yeah, it's kind of a weird thing there. Like it's like they're pointing at it, they're calling attention to it, but they're not explaining any of it. So my only deduction is because it's pro wrestling, right? And everybody's always like angling to backstab someone else, especially if two women look like they're friends in any fashion.
oh yeah, don't do
Um,
that. You're asking
then
for
it
trouble.
leads me to suspect that Statlander may turn on Thunder Rosa because she wants to win her title back, not let Thunder get a crack at it.
Yeah, maybe. It's so weird though. Like, what are you doing?
But after that, we are brought to the AEW World Trios Champion Kevin Knight defend or going against Mansoor of MXM. And right out the gate, I was like, well, I'm pretty sure Kevin Knight's going to win this because they're super up on Kevin Knight. But I was thrilled to pieces to see Mansoor on Dynamite. Other than that,
Yeah.
what were your thoughts on this match?
Yeah, for me, uh so this was somewhat of a squash match, okay? But it was still entertaining, and it was also good to see Mansoor again. I'm kind of hoping that this is like signaling in an AEW return for MMM.
Yeah,
um, but yeah, overall, like, and it also helped get the taste out of my mouth for whatever that was with Gabe Kidd and Orange Cassidy. Um,
yeah, yep.
it was a good palate cleanser, so it was exactly what it needed to be. Kevin Knight continues to look dominant. He continues to look impressive. He stands out amongst other black high flyers. He just does. He's really good. So now I'm understanding why AW was so up on him, or why they are so up on him. Um, and Mansoor is always just entertaining to watch. So yeah, I'm seeing them come back to AEW. And yeah, this was exactly what it needed to be, and it was a good match.
Yeah, I feel the same way. My first two vibes was pleasantly surprised when I saw that his opponent was Mansoor.
Yeah,
Because one, MXM I think is hilarious. Two, both of the men involved, Mansoor and Oh, I'm blanking on the
Oh yeah,
big
they're
fella's name.
MXM now. Yeah, me too. I
But both of those guys are actually really good in the ring. So they're
oh
hilarious, but
yeah,
they're also really good in the ring. And Mansoor didn't disappoint in that regard. He sold his moves well that were given to him, and he was excellent in the ring. He can work a crowd. Like, the guy has charisma. Um, that said, the other thought that immediately popped into my head is, what the hell happened to Kevin Knight's hair? Like, right when he walked out, I was like, what's
yeah.
happening
It's
with his
like
hair?
crazy weird. Yeah, it did. I mean, once we got a close up look of it, we're like, oh okay. But at first,
Yeah,
it was looking weird. I can't explain it, but it was looking like it was like gel to his
plastered
head or
down or something.
something.
Yeah,
Or yeah,
yeah.
it was.
So it was a new look. We'll go with that. But yeah, this was. I agree with you that it was somewhat of a squash match, but it wasn't like, because it wasn't like two moves from Kevin Knight and it's over.
Yeah,
So I feel like they had a decent match. We, like you said, a palate cleanser. We got to see some good wrestling. Kevin Knight being able to just jump up to someone who's seated on the top turnbuckle and Hurricane Rana them is amazing.
yeah.
Um, really good match. And then at the end, after Kevin drills, well, maybe I shouldn't put it that way given the gimmick of Mansoor, but
Pause.
after he drills Mansoor with a UFO splash and picks up the win, uh, Kevin hops on the mic and goes on to make it clear that he thinks that his co-champion in the trios, Hangman, is going to beat the absolute living shit out of MJF for that title. But once that's said and done, though he may be jumping the gun a little bit, he wants the first shot at the AEW World Title from Hangman. So Kevin Knight has now thrown his name in the hat of people that want that world title. And I'm like, okay, all right, making the big moves.
Yeah.
So that was fun. After that, as if called into play by Kevin Knight, we have Shivani in the middle of the ring, and he introduces first Hangman Page, who comes to the ring. Lots of chance of cowboy shit, as it should
Yep.
be.
Yep. Yep.
And then he announces the AEW World Champion, MJF, and lots of people like do 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 do, trying to
Yeah.
sing his song with no lyrics. Um,
Yeah. They're giving his song the Shinsuke treatment.
yes. But now is the moment where Hangman and MJF will determine the stipulation for the AEW World Championship match that they're going to have at Revolution, I believe in mid-March.
Oh man.
Um, and this I felt was pure cinema,
Yeah.
because MJF more or less makes the case that the people should be like have nothing to do with determining such an important thing with regards to his AEW World Title. But he says, I just so happen to have a coin in my pocket. So if you are a man of integrity and courage, Hangman, I believe you will understand that a coin flip is totally fair, unbiased way to determine this stipulation. And I don't think it was like 2 seconds into him indicating he had a coin in his pocket that I was like, so it's double sided. Because he explained that
Right.
if it comes up tails, it's going to be Texas death. But if it comes up heads, it's going to be one way disqualification, which is like the most dog shit match stipulation. Hangman made sure to reinforce that he felt that was a dog shit match.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, we knew immediately that this was going to be a double sided coin. And sure enough, MJF pulls the coin out, does the flip, it lands heads up, and everyone's like, oh man. And MJF, like lightning quick, picks that coin back up and puts it in his pocket. And so we're left sitting there thinking, okay, well, I guess it's going to be this dog shit match. But then as MJF is leaving, Paige calls out to him and says, show me the coin. And MJF tries to weasel out of it. He's like, what? I ain't doing shit for you. You're just a sore loser. And he tries to leave, but then he gets met by
Jet speed.
jet speed as he tries to exit to the left side of the entrance ramp. And then as he starts to go to the right side to avoid them, he gets met by Brodito. And they basically bully him back to the ring where, you know, they get the coin. And sure
Yeah,
as shit, it is a double-sided, double-headed coin. And because it was a rigged coin, Tony Schiavone, who uses his psychic link to Tony Khan, his earpiece, um, announces that it is definitely going to be a Texas death match because MJF tried to cheat the coin
yeah.
toss.
And Tony Khan, who sees all, saw it. He saw it,
He
and he was
saw
like,
it.
no, no.
Nar. So MJF is left looking absolutely defeated as Paige walks out looking totally self-satisfied.
Yeah, and
And
I
go ahead.
I don't know who's gonna win this match. Um, I mean, I want it to be Hangman. It's kind of got to be Hangman at this point because of the stipulation here. But where does that? Where do we go from there? I don't know. I'm excited. I'm
Yeah.
excited about this match. I'm very
I
excited.
I almost think it has to be Hangman because it's too big of a stipulation to stick with.
Yeah.
Like unless Hangman is intending to retire 5 minutes later. Like it
Right.
didn't go so well for Cody Rhodes when he made that same stipulation for himself and lost the match.
Yeah.
And then
Oh,
5
you're
seconds
right.
later he's in WWE. That better damn well not be what happens with Hangman
Yeah,
Adam
that's. I'm
Page.
telling you, that's what I was thinking. I'm thinking like, is he about to go somewhere or something? What is this?
So
I don't know.
I absolutely am totally hoping that MJF loses here and Hangman picks up the belt and can still challenge for it at any point during the rest of his life because
Yeah.
that's not even like I won't challenge for it while
As
you're
long as
holding.
you're right. Yeah, as long as you're champion. It's not even that, which is what I thought he was gonna say. No, my man went straight to the, you know, never again, ever.
Like the only way out of that is to do an angle where like something bad happens to Hangman and he dies on a table, for like 10 seconds and then they revive him and he's like, "Well, technically my life ended. And so I've got a new lease on life, which means I can now challenge for the champion." Like, and
That's
it's
too
pro
much.
wrestling,
Yeah,
so I wouldn't put it past them. But like that's the only out other than Hangman leaves AEW that you can go with that.
yeah, makes me nervous.
Yeah, real talk, because I'm super over on Hangman and I hope he never ever ever goes to WWE because he will never be so big as he is in AEW there.
Yeah,
Um that said, after that piece of cinema, like it was just fantastic. It was really fun. After that piece of cinema, we are given the aforementioned AEW Women's World Tag Team Championship match between the Babes of Wrath and Mega Bad, which is Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford versus Willow Nightingale and Harley Cameron.
actually, right
Hmm.
before that, we heard from
Oh,
the new team between Jamie Hayter and Alex Windsor.
too
We
right,
had
too
a
right.
Yeah, we had a flashback to their match, to their debut match, and they were basically just letting everybody know that they're here and they want the smoke, and they also don't give a flying fuck.
Specifically because they are the Brawling Birds. Because I
Yeah,
think Windsor said, "And we don't give a fuck." And Hater was like, "You're better than that.
and we're better
We're
than
the
that.
Brawling Birds. We don't give a flying fuck." Right? And
Yes,
then they went off to have a pint.
yeah. So there was that, and then we got to the
And then.
to the Women's World Tag Team Championship match between the Babes of Wrath and Mega Bad. And if I may,
You may.
I thought this was a very good match. I will say that I thought Harley Cameron looked really, really good. Every time I see her in the ring, she gets better and better, like little by little. And I think this is probably one of her better showings in this match. Um, but I also felt like this was a pretty short match. Like I feel like they're gearing up for us to have a match between the Babes of Wrath and the new team between Windsor and Hayter. I think that's where we're going. I think we're going towards that. So maybe that's what they want to do. But they also wanted to close the chapter here on Megabad. Uh, and I mean they did it, but I feel like it was a quick match. I feel like it went by pretty fast. Um, Overall, not bad, but quick. I felt like this was a pretty quick match,
Fair
considering
enough.
that there was so much on the line there, and then it was never answered because of interference. So maybe that's it. Maybe that's what they're planning. Maybe that's why it felt
Well,
so quick.
I I have a theory about what this match's purpose was.
Yeah,
All right, to give my thoughts, Megan looked great in the ring. She continues
yeah,
to impress.
yes,
I
yes.
agree with you on Harley Cameron and Willow Nightingale, both looking great in the ring. Penelope is still dog shit in the ring and brings nothing to the table. And I tend to think that was what the purpose of this match was. Um, it the reason I say that is because they signaled that Penelope was injured on the outside of the ring, and that left Megan alone to try and fight at a disadvantage, and that's when Lena Cross, overtly gets the match DQ'd by clobbering
Mm,
Willow Nightingale with one of the tag belts. And it seems to me like the entire point of this, because Megan didn't seem at all perturbed that her championship opportunity went up in smoke. Like, there was no angst between her and Lena Cross over that, which you would think, right? This was a championship match. You
right.
got it DQ'd. God damn it. Pop. Um, so I think the purpose of this is to get Penelope out of the picture so that Lena Cross and Megan Bain can make a new tag team.
I'm here for that.
And they opted to do it here. Um, and I'm okay with it because Penelope is just not doing anything for this
Yeah,
situation. Like Megan Bain is now being actively held back by the existence of Penelope Ford and their tag
yeah,
team.
yep.
Because Penelope is just so weak in ring. Like she's just bad. Um, like she might even be mega bad. Um, So
Jesus.
I think this was used as an excuse to take Penelope out of the picture and put Megan and Lena in the picture. I just thought it was kind of a awkward way to throw away a championship opportunity. Like even in the kayfabe, those don't come along too often. But if that's what they're doing, I'm perfectly on board with it because I think Lena Cross and Megan Bain make a far more dominant and effective tag team. Now, I say that not having seen Lena in a match yet, but like you have a very low bar to be better than Penelope Ford, and you are one gigantic big bitch. So, like, in fact, they should make their tag team the Big Bitches. Like, that would be amazing.
The megabit.
Um, the Mega Bitches. No, but yeah, I tend to feel like that was the entire purpose of this match, and I mean, it was like you said, a good enough match.
Yeah.
Just kind of I do think that it was a match that had a purpose other than determining the winner of this match. And
Oh
I
yeah, yeah,
even
yeah.
think what reinforces my thoughts on that is that, they clearly were signaling that Megabad is not winning this championship match with this overt disqualification, which, would be bad because if you made them win the match and they became tag champions, now you're stuck with Penelope Ford and Megan Bain together because they're both the tag champions.
Yeah.
So,
Gee. No, thank you.
this I think very definitively might be going that direction. We'll see, but that is my
I certainly hope
theory.
so. Yeah, I certainly hope so. I would love the opportunity to see Cross in there and see how her and Meg work together.
Yeah. Well, and you made this point, I think, in our last podcast, and I absolutely agree with it. You know, AEW writ large has been operating at like peak efficiency, which sometimes means that some of the people, even though they've been there since day one, if they can't keep up, they have to be let go
Yeah.
or put to Ring of Honor or somewhere else because AEW is clearly on a mission to be like the best pro wrestling your eyeballs can feast upon on a weekly basis and for their pay-per-views.
Yeah.
And so in order to be all elite, their talent has to play at that level. And Penelope Ford unfortunately is one more of those that is not, and especially in their women's division, which they are trying overtly to bring up quickly.
Yeah, I mean, you could see it. You could see it in them putting together these really good female tag teams.
Yeah, they
The Babes
to
of Wrath are awesome. Sorry, go
to
ahead.
their credit, to their credit, to pivot off what you just said about these tag teams, they
Yeah.
introduce women's tag titles and immediately start doing more with it and giving it more interest and attention and building up that division than you know, WWE now. It was like what, like 8 months ago they introduced, maybe longer, the, you know, mid card belts for the women, and they've done little to nothing with it. I feel like it's just
Yeah.
garbage. So clearly AEW is trying to focus not just on, you know, improving their product overall, but there's a specific focus to improve the women's division, and they are firing on all cylinders trying to get that tag division to be something that's worth, you know, popping off. I feel like AEW writ large does better with anything having to do with tag teams in WWE that seems almost to resent the existence of tag teams.
Yeah. Yeah. I absolutely agree.
So, yeah, well, and I fully agree with where you were coming from. I just wanted to, you know, pivot off of the fact that not only is their women's division trying to grow, but they've got a new tag team division amongst the women that they're also trying to go. So it's a lot of things that they're trying to get done and quickly to bring it up to, you know, the standard that seems to be what, you know, made them Sports Illustrated's like promotion of the year in 2025. So clearly they want to operate literally as where the best wrestle and be all elite, which means if you're not bringing it in ring, you're not going to be long on main AEW television. You're going to be shot off to Ring of Honor or even let go.
Yeah. And I
And
feel rightfully so.
I agree. I mean, I know that sounds harsh, and I never wish for anything like bad to happen to anybody's like career or anything, but
Right.
there is a standard that has to be met that AEW is trying to meet, and I appreciate that, and that means some people aren't going to make the cut.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
So
Unfortunate, but those are the breaks.
those are the breaks. And I think that will only do well for AEW in the long run because I wouldn't want them to deplete or lower their standard just to be accommodating, you know, like you want the professionals to meet that professional standard and you want to push that bar. And I
Yeah.
appreciate that about AEW. That's a big part of why I think they're like the place to watch pro wrestling right now.
Yeah.
But following that match, we now get what I think is probably my second favorite match of the night. Big Brody King versus
Ew.
the Beast Mark Davis of the Don Callis family. And I mean, if you are here for the powerhouse meat matches, this is your match. And I mean, that's me. I'm that guy. I like watching the big, powerful wrestlers, you know, throw each other around.
Holy
That's
smokes.
that's what's that?
I said, holy smokes, this match.
Yeah. So, what were your thoughts on this one?
This match was insane. First of all, I will say that I have nothing but rave reviews on it. Like, and I agree, this is probably my second match of the night for me. Um, because you know why. But but this match was just as good. I was blown away, and yet I was not surprised. Like I knew this was gonna be exactly how it was. If that makes any sense, I knew
It does.
this is
It
what
it
we were gonna get, and
yeah.
yet it was phenomenal. Like it was fantastic, fantastic. Mark Davis looked amazing. Brody
Yep.
looked fan freaking tastic. These two together, chef's kiss, chef's kiss.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more, and I think I feel
So
what you
hyped for it.
mean with there's how you imagine it going and how you hope it and believe it can be, but then there's always the possibility because big power wrestlers don't always operate as well when they're against another big power wrestler, right? Because
Yeah,
now this
yeah.
guy's too big to pull off the shit you normally get away with. But that was not the case here between King and Davis. These
No.
are two like 250 to 300 pound like looking dudes, and they were able to throw each other around the same way they throw anybody the hell else around. It's kind of like
Yeah.
when we were like worried about like Davis and Doyle going against FTR because FTR, well, they're not the tallest, they're thick motherfuckers. And so it's like, well, are all your super power moves going to work on these, little fire plug men that like, they're thick? And yeah, sure enough, Davis and King were able to bring their A game to each other here, and they absolutely gave us a slobber knocker, like just a heavy hitting ass whooping of a match. These two
This
put
was,
each other
yeah,
through, and
fantastic.
I I feel they did really, really well, and I cannot wait to see them run it back when Davis isn't selling like a messed up hand injury in the kayfabe. Because to his credit, Davis was selling that all night long, like the whole
Yeah.
time. Every time he did anything with that hand, he was like, ah. So, um, I just have to wonder how this match would go when Davis isn't messed up.
Yeah.
But this was a super fun meat match. In the post match, after well, to speak to the finish, eventually after just clobbering each other back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, Brody King is able to like annihilate Davis with two really, really gross looking lariats. And on the second one, he's able to secure the pin because at that point Davis is just out, he's done.
But
Um, and so solid finish. Brody King takes the win. After the match, Brody King gets the mic and he straight up calls Swerve out and says he's looking for a fight. And then Bandito, who is ever present in Brody King's shadow, takes hold of the mic and says, I too am looking for a match. And I was like, thank you, Ren from Ren and Stimpy. Um, and immediately following that, like we see Swerve and Prince Nana watching backstage and kind of smiling and nodding, and then on the stage out steps Don Callis, boo, walking fucking penis in a suit.
jeez.
um and then with him is Andrade El Idolo, who looks set to take on Bandito, and I'm here for that because Bandito and Andrade could be really, really good.
Oh yeah.
Especially considering they're both got that luchador background, so their styles should work well together because they're kind of both in that like we're luchadors, but we're also kind of powerhouses. So that could be a really good match.
Yeah. That could be sick.
But yeah, this match, oh, it was a good one. It was so good. Um,
Not wrong.
Following that, after the post match and everything else, we are taken backstage where Rennie Packett is just a joy, by the way. I just want to take an aside to say that. Like, she's adorable and funny, and it's just fun to watch her interview these folks. But she's backstage and she's talking to Kyle Fletcher and, welcomed him back stateside because he was out celebrating in Australia for like a week. And she says that Tommaso Ciampa, is waiting to get his hands back on that title, and Fletcher says, "Yeah, I know. He's under the impression that because he was champ for 2 weeks, he's got some claim on this title." And he says, sorry, Champa, you're not getting Sylvie anywhere. You're not going anywhere near in the any time in the future. And now it's Pinky because he has redone the belt so that the black strap is now a giant pink strap to match his pink attire. And and after that, the Rainmaker Kazuchika Okada walks up and says that he's very proud of Fletcher. Sorry, was there something you wanted to interject?
No, I was laughing at what you
Oh,
had said.
okay. And he says, him and Fletcher have both constantly been champions, unlike Takeshita. Oh man, so
God,
schoolyard, so
let it
schoolyard.
go, brother.
And then Okada says he considers Fletcher his very best friend. So on Collision, he proposes that they team up for the first time as Proto Kata. And they all say Proto Kata, including Renee. And it was just so much. It was so much. It was great. I'm here for it. I think it's going to be a fantastic set of matches, but man, the little dig at Takeshita, oh, it's so
Every
juvenile.
chance he gets.
So juvenile.
What's juvenile?
But fun nonetheless. After that promo, we are taken to the final match of the night, the main event, which for me is the match of the night, and it's a
Yeah.
Mile High Madness, anything goes 10-man like craziness match, and it's Jungle Jack Perry and the Young Bucks and Desmond Xavier and Zachary Wentz of the Rascals on one side. That's one 5-man tag team against the Demand, which is Ricochet, Bishop Khan, and Toa Leona, and the AEW World Tag Champions, FTR, Dax Harwood, and Cash Wheeler on the other end. So this is already crazy just when you know who all's in it. So that said, what were your thoughts on this Mile High Madness main event?
Match was absolutely insane. It is definitely match of the night for me. Um, it was insane. They kept the music going. They kept Jungle Jack Perry's music going because he got attacked. Essentially while his song was playing, like he was coming out to the ring, he got attacked. Other people hadn't even been called up to the ring yet, so the match was already starting. They kept the music going, I think at least twice. Like they let it play twice, it stopped, and then it played again, and the audience was like, "Yay!" Um,
Yeah, even
and
after it stopped, the audience kept singing it for like another minute after.
yes, even after the song ended, they were like, "But oh, they, we get it." They were very, very hyped. Um, but they matched the vibe of this match. I love when AEW does this type of thing because it's just absolute insanity. Cameramen are running around everywhere, and there is just insanity happening everywhere you look, and that was just freaking crazy opener. They got some sort of control over the match. I don't even know freaking how they did that. But they got some kind of control over the match, and from there it just became a masterpiece in ridiculousness. It was a fantastic match. I saw stuff there that I hadn't seen yet. I don't even know how to explain it. Um, Young Bucks, freaking the Rascals, bro, the Rascals. The third guy, we got to see a little bit of him. When he came out,
Oh,
I can't
yeah,
remember
the
his
third
name.
member of the Rascals.
The
Yeah,
third
yeah.
member of the Rascals. Holy smokes! I can't wait to see this guy in the ring. Like it was unbelievable. This match. I this match I could rate all by itself. Like it was so good. What did you think?
I mean, yes. This was classic and peak AEW.
Yeah.
There wheelhouse has always been what they do with these multi-man matches, and this was them leaning into what they know is their strong suit with some of their best players. I mean, Jungle Jack Perry has gotten better and better. The Young Bucks are inarguably the best tag team ever. And the Rascals, since they have debuted, have done nothing but rise to the top. They are so good. I mean, it's so what they do in ring is so at odds with their stoner like personas that it's like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
And then you've got the demand, and Bishop Khan and Toa Leona have never looked better than when they've paired up with Ricochet. And Ricochet is absolutely insane, especially for high spots and selling shit. It's crazy. And then you've got the current tag champions, FTR. So this was the like some of the absolute best that AEW has to offer in the craziest match that they could give.
Yeah.
And it was so good. Just chains and chains of high spots and insanity. For me, easily my match of the night.
Oh,
Pe-
good Lord, yes.
Perry, Bucks, and Rascals are a dream team. Like if you were putting together in a wrestling video game, like your dream team, this would be one of them, if not it.
Yeah.
And that doesn't take away from the demand in FTR at all. This was just pure sicko insanity, and I mean, it's what AEW does best. This was a great main event. It also managed to fuel several different feuds that exist amongst all of these 10 men. There's like a feud between Toa Leona and Bishop Khan with the Rascals and the Bucks because they're all tag teams vying for that tag team championship. There's a very big feud between FTR and the Bucks because, you know, FTR like on Collision Spike pile drove their quote unquote younger brother
Younger brother.
Malachi. And then, you know, there's a huge feud between Perry and Ricochet. So it managed to further a lot of storylines in addition to being an absolute all out crazy ass insane main event in ring. Um, there's no possible way I could do justice to try and do the play by play for this. You would just have to watch it. But I will say there was a particularly funny part. It was an interaction with the crowd where they first were like, get the tables. And so tables started coming out, and someone got put through one table, and they're like, one more table. And so they put them through. No, what was it? It was get the tables, then it was like, you know, more tables, and then it was like one more table. And each time the audience did that, they did in fact put somebody through another fucking table, and it was the best. It was
Yes.
so good. It was so good of an interaction with the way they played with the crowd on that. Oh, this was possibly a perfect main event. Like it was so good.
Yeah. I think you're absolutely right. Like fantastic. Fantastic.
So that said, ultimately, the way they end up winning this match is after kind of kicking the crap out of each other, they get a run against, I want to say Ricochet. And the Rascals hit Hot Fire Flame on Bishop Khan, which takes him out of the picture. Perry drills Ricochet with a Canadian Destroyer. The Bucks then hit him with a BTE trigger, and then they assist Perry into a flying knee straight through Ricochet's bald skull. And with that, Perry then proceeds to cover Ricochet, which is a strong signal, right? That Perry is coming for that national championship of Ricochets. And Perry picks up the pin. And so, you know, the good
Yeah, that
guys
two
win
times
here.
fast.
And just a great finish to that match. That said, that is the end of the show at that point. So, what was your final review of this episode of AEW Dynamite?
Um, I mean, I could be insane and rate it just for the main event, and I mean, don't get me started. It's good enough on its own that it could have just carried the entire show. That's my honest opinion. But there were other good matches here. Uh, and I feel like I'd give this particular episode, uh man, am I gonna do it? You know what? I'm gonna give it a 9. I'm gonna give it a 9. And I'm gonna do so because the last two matches were so freaking phenomenal. The match with Brody and Mark Davis, and the main event. Those two matches could have carried the show all by themselves. This was a pay-per-view level Dynamite episode, so I feel confident in my 9, even though they gave me a match with Gabe Kidd where he just sucked. Um, Even though that match is there, I'm gonna stand firm and say 9. That's it.
I can
Final
see that.
answer.
I can see that. So you the last two matches like erased the blot for you.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
completely fair. That is completely fair. For my review, I said this episode had only one real low point, and it was the boring Kid Cassidy match. Um, Kid versus Cassidy, I should say, because Kid Cassidy sounds like he's his own wrestler.
Yeah, that's
Um,
actually kind of a cool name, Kid Cassidy.
Unfortunately, that match dropped it a little bit. I was sitting at a solid 9, much the same way you were, and I
Oh,
brought mine down to an 8.5.
okay.
And I
Okay.
went that route because that match was so bad, and Kid, well, uh, man, it's still top tier, but it's because the rest of the show was so good. So I agree with you. Like there were some amazing matches. Moxley and well, I'll get to it here. I'm derailing myself. What I want to say is that I hope Kid and Connors can find their groove, as I think there is potential there. But Kid showed me here that not only is his character a mess, being way too try hard, but his in ring was lackluster and boring, and that is a bad place to be. Because then what is there? What is there for me to latch onto and appreciate? Like I can't find the redeeming quality. Um,
Yeah.
Other than that, I felt Megabad tossing away a championship opportunity to simply introduce Lena Cross was slightly awkward, or a bit odd way of going about it, but not so much as to affect the rating at all. If I focus on the good stuff, Mox and Clone was great. Brody and Davis was absolutely great. Hangman and MJF segment was pure cinema, and the main event was like a near perfect 10 of a match, in my opinion. It was everything AEW does best in the industry writ large. So this stays top tier, but it does get dinged for that Kid and Cassidy match. I can't overlook it. If nothing else, it stands out like a sore thumb when surrounded by so many other amazing matches.
Yeah. That's fair.
So
Totally
that
fair.
has thank you. That has been our review of AEW Dynamite, and I want to thank every one of our listeners who joined us for this episode, and I invite them to join us for our next episode, which should be our coverage of AEW Collision. Until then, I don't think there's anything for me to do but roll the outro.
Hey guys. Hey, thanks for tuning into this episode of Top Tier Wrestling. We hope you enjoyed our deep dive into the latest wrestling news and shows. You can find us on all major podcast platforms as well as our YouTube channel where we upload all of our episodes. You could also follow us on Instagram and X for updates and to join the conversation. Until next time, everyone, remember, wrestling is always better when it's top tier.